Fishing in New England, it's pretty special. From lazy Vermont trout streams to surf-pounded Cape Cod beaches, marshline Connecticut tidal creeks to deep water Maine lakes, inshore, offshore, freshwater and salt, few places compete. This is incredible action. And the species, stripers, tuna, fluke, salmon, trout, pike, even mahi and marlin. New England's got them all. I'm Tom Richardson. Join me as we explore New England's great fishing destinations, chase its many species, and forge new fishing adventures on New England Fishing. New England. If you live and fish in New England, putting your boat away after Labor Day is a big mistake. That's because you'll be missing out on some of the best weather and best fishing of the season. At this time of year, the local waters teem with baitfish of all types and sizes, and predators gather for the feast. My friend Dave Steves and I hope to feast as well, in a figurative sense, on schools of false albacore that had gathered along the south side of Cape Cod. Dave is a longtime Cape guide and member of the Goose Hummock Shop staff, and when he called to say the albies were thick off the mouth of the Bass River, I hitched up the pursuit and headed for the launch ramp in Yarmouth. So what do you think, Dave? What do you think the game plan today should be?
Well, the game plan is to find some albies. And the beauty of what's been happening the last few weeks is there's been so many albies around that you don't have to do that traditional run and gun, where you find a pot of fish and the birds are working them and you're just running around chasing them and dealing with all the boats. So there's been so many. If you find a good group of fish, you just be patient. You stay with them, you drift, wait for them to come up and cast, and it works out beautifully.
Awesome. Well, that sounds a lot less frenetic and...
It's a lot less stressful, more relaxed, and what's been beautiful about this situation is everyone's kind of been doing the same thing. So everyone's been catching fish, having a great time doing it without worrying about running, gunning it, chasing them all over and blowing the fish and putting them down.
Having tempers flare and
albie
rage. Lures
in your boat, hitting the side of the boat.
We want to try to avoid that whenever possible.
Absolutely. So we're here to have fun.
That's right. A mere 10 minutes after clearing the inlet, we could see the telltale slashes of feeding albies. Oh, look at him following. Got him.
Nice job, Tommy.
That's a big school right there. Scatters. Then the fish stop, and then they just got away. Look at him right here. Oh, Dave, right, like 10 feet off the boat. Oh, come on. I want to see him hit that thing. Oh, yeah. Come on, eat it.
Come on.
Oh. All right, here we go. These guys can just lift right out of the water. Look at that. Yeah, I'll tell you, they have amazing eyesight, Dave. They get, there is no, usually you never foul hook these things.
This is one of the problems we're having. We just ran this lure through a huge school of albies, and I had one little strand of seaweed on there, and they wouldn't take it.
Yeah,
that's how great their eyesight is. So they shied away for it just because of that little strand of seaweed on it.
So sometimes if weed's a real problem, though, you can go to a weedless bait like a sluggo or a fin S fish or a zoom fluke. Right,
exactly, yeah. I mean, it's not terrible out here, but just a little strand like that,
that's all it
floating
takes.
around the water will make a big difference from you hooking up or not hooking up.
That was a long distance cast right there.
Your arm's getting tired yet, Tom?
Yeah, I'll tell you. There's a lot. The day is still young. We got a lot more fish. Yeah, I knew as soon as I started eating a power bar. All right, I think he's beat.
Okay, so this is where you don't want to skimp on gear. You really want to invest in a good reel, good solid reel that has a smooth drag, and it's comfortable in the hand to cast for a long period of time, as well as a high quality graphite rod. What we're using today is Shimano products as well as G Loomis. The Shimano reels we have are the new Stratic CI4 Plus. Yep. And the Stratic Sustain. So these are, reels in the 200 to 400 price point, but it's worth the investment in my opinion, because these fish take incredible runs. They swim over 40 miles per hour. You want a nice smooth drag, and you want something that's going to be durable.
Yeah, sure.
Over a long period of time, and something that's going to have high capacity. We're using braided line, as well as we want at least 200 yards, of backing or braided line just for these runs. They take 100 yards of line in a couple seconds.
Sure, and these are small fish. You get a 12-pound, 14-pound albie, you better have a lot of backing on there.
Right, it's very important, and this is a newer Stratic. It's ultra light, really comfortable in the hand, matched up with a 7-foot medium to heavy graphite rod. This is a G Loomis rod, St. Croix. There's a lot of great manufacturers out there, but we at the Goose really recommend the G Loomis, St. Croix products for this type of fishing.
Yeah, it's very light, very sensitive, and you can throw light baits a good distance.
Exactly. Here we go.
You got him again?
Oh, he's coming right at me, Tom. Sometimes when they swim that fast at you, you feel like they're off, but they're still on.
Taking you around the bow. Oh yeah, there they are.
Nice cast. You're gonna go right through.
I didn't. Oh, look at that blitz right there.
You got fish right where. Yeah. Beautiful.
All right, look at this. Here we go. Hold on.
Nice job.
I guess it doesn't matter, right? Another double header here, Dave.
We're getting spoiled, Tom.
Yeah, I know. This is easy albie fishing. I'll tell you, I've been out here on days where you're chasing schools all day. You get maybe one fish, maybe none. Yeah, this is good. These are the days that you'll keep you going through the winter. Let's talk about line. You've got braided line. What pound test?
This is braided line, so it's the equivalent of, say, 12-pound diameter. So we're looking at 40, 50-pound Power Pro braided line, excuse me. This is the new Super Slick. It's blue. Doesn't make too much of a difference in terms of presentation, but it just has a nice slick finish to it. When you're casting, it comes off the finger a little bit easier, and through the guides a little nicer. But great sensitivity, and there's no stretch.
There's no stretch too, which is important when a fish is making a long run too. You don't want that much stretch in your line.
Exactly. Yeah, you're always in contact with the lure and the fish.
Yeah. Now, how about your leader? Tell me about that.
Leader, I'm just running, say, a 4 to 5 foot piece of 16-pound, sometimes 20-pound fluorocarbon leader.
That's a good starting point.
It's a great starting point. I wouldn't go much higher than that, just because of showing up in the water. They have great eyesight, so 16 to 20 is perfect.
And how do you attach it to the braided line?
I use a double uni. I've gone as crazy as doing a bimini to the mono with a slim beauty knot, but in all practicality, a double uni knot is a great way to join braid to monofilm.
Yeah. long distance cast right there.
I'm getting tired yet, Tom?
Yeah, I'll tell you. You know, there's a lot. The day is still young. Well, he does look a little bit bigger, doesn't he? Slightly. Not going to break any record. Beautiful. Boy, they love those epoxy jigs, don't they?
Sure do.
Yeah, those things. Well, let's talk about the lures that we're using. We talked about a little bit earlier. You know, we're using these. We're using the epoxy jigs, Hoagie epoxy jigs, and those seem to be working real well on these fish. But what are some other lures you like to use?
Well, there's a lot of variations of the epoxy jig from different manufacturers. Another one that I particularly like is a Jetty Ghost. This is powder coated versus being epoxy. And they actually come in like a single hook version, which really works well on a day like today when there's a lot of weed in the water.
Yep. And
they tie a little tail to it, but swims beautifully in the water on the surface, comes in a variety of colors, just like the Hoagie lure does. Mm-hmm. Old Faithful.
Oh yeah, the Deadly Dick.
Deadly Dick.
Yeah, that's the ones I first started catching albies on.
Yeah, they're wonderful, and they cast like a dream, very aerodynamic. They swim beautifully in the water. They're shiny, and they catch a ton of albies.
Sure.
It's one of their favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. So little metal jigs, epoxy jigs. I'll tell you what I like to use. I found that the Daddy Mac lures work well too. I mean, these are really well-made lures and again, you can cast them a mile. Got nice heavy-duty hooks on them. They work really well. And soft plastics, that's my little secret to everybody. I keep telling people, if you got finicky albies out there, try throwing a weedless Zoom fluke at them. I mean, it's very hard to cast it a long distance, but if you can get this thing into a pod of feeding albies, you're going to get a strike 9 times out of 10. Yeah,
I thought I was the only one that did that.
No. You learned it from me. You must have read it in an article somewhere. Yeah. But anyways, it's a 5.5-inch Zoom fluke. It's dynamite. It's my go-to lure. Also, the little boned or white-colored, pearl-colored Sluggo.
The Sluggo
also works well. Hard to cast, but like I said, if they're finicky, this often will do the trick for you. Many lures are sold with multiple sets of treble hooks, but you don't need that many hooks to catch fish. I usually remove the belly hooks from my plugs using a set of split ring pliers. I find that doing so doesn't affect the action of most lures, especially topwaters, and makes it a lot easier to release the fish quickly and in good condition. If the action is fast and furious, I'll often take it a step further and crush the barbs on my hooks, which makes it even easier to release the fish quickly and get back in the game. Lastly, consider removing the trebles altogether and using a single Siwash hook on the rear of the plug. Go barbless and you can release a fish in seconds. So there you go, some simple tips to make catch and release easier and do less harm to the fish. After catching several albies out of the gate, the action fizzled, as so often happens with albies. So we moved inshore a bit to where Dave had noticed some bird activity. Sure enough, we found more fish feeding in the vicinity of the R2 bell, marking the approach to the Bass River. After an hour or so of catching the sporadic schools of albies without success, we figured out that the R2 bell was serving as a fish aggregating device. The buoy and its chain were providing shelter for the bait fish, and the albies were circling it like a pack of wolves. Eventually, a pod of bait would separate from the main school and find itself all alone and under assault by the ravenous albies, which made short work of the hapless prey. Seems like most of the majority of the action has moved in around this buoy, right?
Right. It's pretty classic. I mean, that first light bite is always the best. Low light conditions, they seem to be a little bit more happy on the surface and a little bit more eager to eat. But they're still here, and we're just using this buoy as a marker. We're making big drifts. We're going upwind, up tide, and then drifting close to the buoy, and it's right marking the channel where there's some shallower water that meets the deeper water, maintaining where all the bait is. So they're not showing as much, but every time we make a drift through here, it seems like we drift into a few pods at least.
Right. So rather than try to bounce around from pod to pod, we're just systematically making a drift past the buoy, and then once we get downwind of it enough, we come around and just do the drift again, right?
Exactly, yeah. They're a little bit more skittish, you know, it's bright sun now, there's a lot more boat activity, a lot more pressure on this group of fish. So we're just being real patient. We're just making these slow drifts, and eventually we connect and we drift right into them.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and I see people occasionally hooking up just by blind casting too. Right. So they're just working the area, and sometimes they get lucky and pull a lure in front of the fish, or fish comes past the lure. Yeah. But it shows you a little bit about etiquette too, because you know the boats right now, they're everyone's acting really nice, and no one's like you know plowing ahead when the fish come up and ruining the other person's cast and setup. So you got to be patient sometimes, right? You
got to be very patient in this game.
Yeah.
It's going to pay off, and like I said, if you don't want to be running and gunning, you're just going to keep pushing those fish down and away. So just
and not making any friends with the other anglers.
Yeah, everyone's behaving themselves today. So it's quite nice and relaxing out here today.
That is good. Got one on the fly. Perseverance pays off.
Nice job, Tommy.
Hey, thanks for keeping me sane and not letting me go chase every pot of albies I see pop up within a half mile. Just sticking close to this buoy. That's where they were, and you were right. Just keep sticking by it, and they're gonna pop up. And I just saw one or two come up, and I just plopped it down about no more than 20-foot cast. Came up and nailed it. All right, perfect.
Nice job.
We leadered them, so it counts, right?
Well done.
we got our Albie on a fly. Excellent. Hey, thanks a lot for your help, Dave.
It was
man.
awesome.
That was all right. So there's the pattern that sealed the deal. Finally got us an Albie. So that's just a plain deceiver, would you call that?
It's a deceiver type pattern, but it's tied with synthetic hair. So it's got a little chartreuse, some pink in there with an eye.
Yeah,
so,
the eye's important though on a fly, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. You know, they do key in on the eye when you're attacking the bait fish. So, so I think it's important, as well as the color and the size. Like we mentioned before, the length of the fly. This mimics exactly what they're feeding on right now, you know, little anchovies and sand eels. And the profile is very thin. It's like the thickness of your finger. And it's got a little flash to show the lateral line of a bait fish, so it seems to work.
That's great, and it's got a razor sharp hook too.
Very sharp hook, yeah.
That's key.
So basically we're in Nantucket Sound, just outside of Bass River. And it's one of the largest rivers here on the Cape. And with the outgoing tide, we've just been finding a lot of albies. So basically we're in Nantucket Sound, just outside of Bass River. And it's one of the largest rivers here on the Cape. And with the outgoing tide, we've just been finding a lot of albies just kind of congregating outside the mouth of the river for all the bait fish that's been in there for the last 3 to 4 weeks now. So it's shallow enough to get a small boat, you know, on a nice day, as well as the bigger boats can get in here. And it's just been really consistent, steady albie fishing since late August this year.
With the albies still popping up here and there, we decided to call it quits and headed back to the ramp. It was a fine fall morning of fishing and proof that you never want to put your boat away too early.
Well, here we are, safely back at the Bass River ramp after a fantastic morning of albie fishing. This is great. Really appreciate it again, Dave, taking me out, showing me how it's done, keeping me calm under pressure, especially when it came to the fly
You got the
rod.
albie fever, but we calmed you down. We settled you down a little bit.
Right. So it was interesting. We started off, and it was fast and furious, like everyone had said it had been lately. You know, lots of schools around, and we were just nailing them hand over fist on the jigs. Then it died, and we had to kind of like come up with a new game plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's classic, you know, early morning bite, then settled down a little bit, but then we got some more activity, you know, around 9, 10 o'clock. Just had to switch it up a little bit. We got a little bit more patient with our drifts. We didn't start running and gun it like a lot of people would normally do. And it prevailed.
Yeah.
You know, we found a few fish that way.
Yeah, I think a lot, you know, my instinct, unfortunately, is to like always go where the grass is greener. That's, but it must be going on somewhere. So, you know, that I have to really fight that urge, you know, to like head, east, it's been going off Monomoy, so let's go down there, or, let's go check out the vineyard. And, sometimes you're just better off. It's the old adage, right. Don't leave fish to find fish, right?
Exactly.
And in this case, in this case, it paid off. We stuck by it. We just made those drifts, got in the conga line, and just made drift after drift, and finally it paid off. So.
And you got your albie on the fly.
I got the albie on the fly. Excellent. Well, it was a fantastic morning, and hopefully more to come.
Sounds good.
Well, that's a wrap on another action-packed episode of New England Fishing. To learn more about fishing in this great part of the world, be sure to check out newenglandfishing.com, where you can access loads of articles, recipes, videos, gear and boat reviews, and much more. And don't forget to order your copy of New England Fishing Magazine, a big, bold, glossy publication packed with articles that'll help you catch more and bigger fish all year long. Until next time, I'm Tom Richardson for New England Fishing. Thanks for watching.